When it comes to price to performance, I've determined after reviewing countless gaming PCs that iBUYPOWER consistently stands out as a top contender. But what about this popular model? Today we're going to give you an entirely transparent and in-depth look at the iBUYPOWER Element 9. This specific configuration that we have here for you comes with the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D CPU and 5070 Ti GPU. I'm going to quickly take you through the unboxing and what's included, gaming and creator benchmarks, design and build quality, the internals, thermals, fan noise, overall ease of use, pricing breakdowns, and comparing its price to performance ratios against the competition, and my overall top likes and dislikes. Even if you decide not to purchase this PC after anything that I say in this video, just keep watching because I'm also going to be sharing with you some alternative PCs that I recommend for every budget. I'll include links down below for all the products that I mentioned, as well as tag directly on this video or using a QR code if you're watching on a TV. Ready to add pure magic to your build? Meet the Corsair Xeneon Edge, a standout 14.5-inch ultra-wide touchscreen display. Boasting a vibrant 2560 by 720 resolution and wide viewing angles, its versatility is unmatched. Keep your stream chat in view or use the 14 integrated magnets to snap it directly to your case, fitting perfectly into standard 360mm fan mounts. The 5-point multi-touch capacitive screen makes interacting with your setup as intuitive as your smartphone. Easily build custom layouts with iQ integration or use iframe for web widgets. Plus, with USB-C DP alt mode and full-size HDMI, you can even game right on it. Needed external? Use the included monolithic stand or the rear Q20 AV mounts. Whether you're tracking racing sim telemetry, monitoring live system temps, or expanding your creator workflow, it's the ultimate secondary screen. Make your PC shine. Click the link in the description below to grab your Xeneon Edge today. Now back to the review. Alright, now let's rewind back into the past real quick and check out what came in the box. First thing included with this PC is a Chimera KM7 RGB keyboard and mouse. Considering they're free, I'd say they're actually pretty decent. They look awesome with the RGB lighting on. Then inside this little bag, we've got a graphics card quick install guide, a SATA cable for any extra hard drives that you might want to add, GPU adapter cable, Wi-Fi antennas, and the incredibly massive power cable. Now design-wise, overall, love the look. But when I first saw this PC, I was immediately curious about the ventilation. These backside fans right here are intakes, and these bottom 3 fans, also intakes. This PC's only exhaust fan is this one right here in the back. So we are relying a lot on negative pressure to keep everything moving and cool everything down. We'll get to the thermals here in a sec. The main purpose of these backside fans is to keep our CPU from getting too hot. Using what's called an AIO, all-in-one liquid cooling system, this CPU cooling block takes the heat from the CPU and transfers it up through one of these tubes into this 360mm radiator where the heat is then spread out. These 3 fans continuously cool that radiator with fresh air from outside the case. To the right of our CPU, the RAM they included in this PC is a Pacer Panther 5200MHz RGB DDR5 RAM. They gave us 2 16GB sticks for a total of 32. And then under our CPU, the main drive they included in this build is a 1TB AGI. And when we tested this one, we got speeds of about 4800 megabytes per second read and about 2700 write. The most important part of this PC though is this GPU. This one a PNY 5070 Ti, which by itself right now costs about $900. A decent choice for this build, but not really my favorite design. This all sits on an ASRock B650M CX motherboard, which thankfully is set up in a way that you can still access the bottom PCIe slot even with a 3-slot GPU like this one installed. Then in the bottom right corner, you also get one more SSD slot for more high-speed storage. Then swinging around to the back, this panel also an easy toolless removal. I'd say pretty nice cable management overall. Over here to the right, you also get 2 additional slots for 2.5-inch SATA SSDs. Down here below, you've got a single hard drive cage for a 3.5-inch mechanical hard drive, but that's actually something that you'll have to access from the front after removing this bottom strip panel. Then lastly, in the bottom right corner, the power supply they include in this build is a high-powered, non-modular 750-watt power supply. That brand is actually a nice step up in quality from those APEVIA power supplies that are typically found with iBUYPOWER PCs. Moving on to the ports, overall between the front and the back, we've got a very comfortable amount of USBs with a total of 9 USB-As and 2 USB-Cs. Now, as far as the software, it actually didn't include anything that allowed me to control the RGB. I had to download the motherboard's ASRock Polychrome app myself, but as usual, Signal RGB synced everything way better and had a lot more animation options. Now for the fan profiles, you're actually going to have to control all of that within the BIOS, which I guess is fine because this BIOS has plenty of options to tweak if you want to maximize performance. As far as the fan noise goes, we did get fans that were pretty loud in performance mode, hitting around 53 decibels. These must have been aggressive fan profiles because when I set it to silent mode, I didn't notice a single drop in performance. But we got much quieter fans during gaming when we did that. So yeah, you're going to want headphones if you want to keep it in performance mode and make sure that your PC is as cool as possible during games. You can see in our thermal imaging time-lapse from computer off to full-on gaming that as usual, we do get some heat building up on the glass right next to the GPU. Taking off the glass panel and moving in closer, we can see a little bit more in detail where some of those hotter areas are. Mostly from the GPU, but also on that SSD drive there in the back. Really not sure why they didn't include a heatsink on this drive to keep it cool. In fact, I installed my own, and you can see in this comparison how much cooler the heatsink made it. The large majority of my thermal testing was spent in actual gameplay though. These were our CPU temps for several different games at 1080p. Fairly cool overall, and looking at the averages, you can see that it's right about where we'd expect it to be for these specs. Things changed a bit in 4K gaming though. We're focusing on the GPU temperatures here because high resolution gaming puts a lot more pressure on the GPU and eases up on the CPU. And you can see in this overall chart that compared to the rest, it was one of the hottest. But I guess at least still not in throttling territory. Now for the performance and gaming benchmarks, and up next, the most important part of this review, the price to performance ratios. For Cinebench R23, which simulates its 3D rendering power, you can see that we understandably did not get a very high score here compared to all the PCs with Intel CPUs. AMD X3D CPUs, like the one in this PC, are just not the best for multi-core rendering. And we got similar results in our other main 3D rendering benchmark as well. Our V-Ray performance score again shows this PC to be in the lower range for this kind of task. For actual gameplay though, these were our average and 1% low FPS numbers that we got for several games at their highest preset settings at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K gaming resolutions. And then averaging all those games together and comparing with the rest, you can see that overall it's a bit better performing than that iBUYPOWER Slate 9 that we also reviewed at 1080p. And then at 1440p, they both had practically identical performance. And then the same thing at 4K gaming, very similar performance. But one thing that might sway you towards one over the other is the price. And we'll get to that here in a sec after we show you how different settings affect the performance of this PC. All right, let's jump into some Cyberpunk 2077. We're going to check out ultra graphic presets first, turn off DLSS. These are all of the other graphic settings that we normally use. Also, we're going to try it out just to see if 4K can handle it. So you can see after playing for a bit, we're looking at 64 average FPS with a 1% low at 46. That's not bad for a 5070 Ti on one of the most demanding games. But man, this game looks beautiful. Just for fun, we're going to see what happens when we go all the way to ray tracing overdrive. So technically this game is capable of ray tracing overdrive, it's just not going to look pretty. I mean, it looks pretty, it's just incredibly choppy. Let's go ahead and look at something a little bit more realistic. So how about ray tracing overdrive with DLSS? Okay, yeah, that's a lot smoother now. So now we're at 63 average FPS with a 1% low at 49, not bad. How about just ultra graphic presets with DLSS? So now with DLSS at ultra graphic presets, we're looking at an average of 114 and the 1% low at 97. Kind of curious to see what we can get at low graphic presets. It actually doesn't look horrible. We've got 200 average FPS now. All right, now we're going to go ahead and jump into some Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I'm going to go to ultra graphic presets. These are all of the settings that we normally do all of our benchmarks on. First, we're going to see how it can handle 4K. So after playing for a bit, you can see we're at 118 average FPS, the 1% low at 83. Not bad. I know we can do better than that if we turn these graphic settings down from ultra graphic presets at 4K, but man, does this look good. Look how beautiful that looks. Go ahead and turn on NVIDIA image scaling and see what happens. Okay, so now we are at 116 average and the 1% low at 87. Actually, let's see what happens when we go to extreme. While still above 100 average FPS with extreme mode on. That's not bad for a 5070 Ti at 4K. You can see we are getting dips down to a 1% low of 75 FPS though. For those of you that just want the most FPS, let's go ahead and go to 1080p and see what we get with ultra graphic presets at that resolution. It still looks pretty good even with a lower resolution. So after playing for a bit, you can see we're now at 210 average FPS, the 1% low at 135. This is at 1080p with ultra graphic presets. But if you just want the absolute max FPS possible, let's go ahead and go to minimum, upscaling off. Everything is set to extremely low graphic settings. So we are now up to 246 average FPS and the 1% low at 182, but this does not look pretty. I would not play in this mode. Alright, let's try low graphic presets at 4K. Yeah, it looks a lot better. So we're now around 150 average FPS, the 1% low at 107. Triple kill. So obviously minimum graphic presets looks a little bit smoother, but for me, ultra graphic presets is the way to go. At least for me personally, the trade-off of a few FPS is worth it for much better graphics. And now for my favorite part, the price to performance ratios. Right now at the time of this recording, this specific iBUYPOWER Element 9 that we reviewed today will cost you about $2,000. And that Slate 9 that we reviewed a while ago is no longer in stock at Best Buy, but the upgraded version now with a 9800X3D CPU is in stock. This will give you much better performance at basically the same price. You can see in these price to performance charts that the 7800X3D version of the Slate 9 is already almost the best value. So the 9800X3D version would be #1 by far on these charts. But if you're understandably at an entirely different price point, these are my recommendations for every budget. If you need to be closer to $1,000, then I would get this Lenovo Legion Tower with a 5060 Ti GPU. Most PCs in this price range only have a 5060. There's also a version of this one that's about 30% more powerful. It's the exact one that I reviewed, so here's my actual FPS results at every resolution. That one will cost you almost $1,900 though. If you can afford closer to $3,000 and want to step it up to a 5080 GPU, then I would get this Asus ROG G700. Over the past few months, this PC has by far had the most orders by viewers on this channel. Asus is a more reliable and high quality brand than both Lenovo and iBUYPOWER when it comes to gaming desktops. It's just going to cost you. That 265KF CPU isn't the best for gaming at lower resolutions, but because this PC has a 5080, it will crush 1440p and 4K gaming. A brand that I like even more than Asus though is Corsair. On top of their great reputation, they also have a 60-day return period and a 2-year warranty, double the average. This Corsair Vengeance A7500 with a 9800X3D and 5080 will be quite a bit faster than that Asus for $3,000. And since I reviewed this exact model, I can show you the actual FPS we got for each game. But if you want a game with ultra graphic presets at 4K with the absolute best FPS, then I would get this Skytech O11V with a 5090. $5,000 is actually a really good deal in this current insane market for a pre-built gaming PC with the best GPU. Overall, this iBUYPOWER Element 9 is a great performer at a great price, but as I mentioned earlier, that iBUYPOWER Slate 9 9800X3D version is a much better purchase. This is the one that I would get at the $2,000 range. Also, this Element 9 had hotter GPU temps and louder fans than I'd like. Now, if you do decide to purchase this PC or any of the others that I mentioned, then please remember to use my affiliate links in the comments and description below, or tag directly on this video, or using a QR code if you're watching on a TV, as I get a small commission at no cost to you for every single purchase made. And it's actually a major factor in keeping this channel going and getting better and better for you. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on to stay up to date with all of my latest tech and gaming PCs. PC gaming is awesome, but please trust me, do not let it take over your life. What helps me mentally is getting outside, staying active, eating healthy, and spending more time with my family. Also, studies have shown that reading the Bible at least 4 times a week can massively boost your mental health, and I can attest to that. And if you are a little skeptical about the Bible, then check out the book or documentary, The Case for Christ.